A very good afternoon to all brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today is 17 April 2022, Sunday. We will be continuing our sharing from this book, the 36th lesson of the Six Patriarchs, Platform Sutra. This is a transcript book. We are at page 42. And we are continuing our sharing. We will turn to page 42 of this transcript book, the 36th lesson of the Six Patriarchs Platform Sutra. This section is on Q&A, question and answer. So there is a sister Chin. She asked the first question. He said, Brother Teo, I have seen in your WhatsApp sharing on the Bodhisattva vow, and it's written there, nature of mind. I don't quite understand. Can you please explain? Okay. Then I answered. I say it's a very good question. The human being is just one segment of our countless lives. So this part you all have to listen. This is very important understanding. Each and every one of us as a human being or living being, we come off and on to this existential world. In fact, before you have the Dhamma, birth and death is like, they call it samsara experience. You cannot stop coming. The birth and death of the segmented line, they keep on arising. So every living being, regardless of whether you are a human being or non-human or whatever, there is this karmic process that conditions our form and mind to arise. And every of this karmic process, we arise in one segment. One segment means for that life, that segment of our life, we will take birth according to our karmic process of conditioning. So if you are born as a human being like this life, which means you have relatively good karma. That's why you are born as a human being. And it's a very rare birth. To be born as a human is really rare. So this human being is just one segment of our countless lives when we are born into this existential world. So let's say over the long periods of existence, eons and eons and eons of birth and death, you have become many, many types of beings. Maybe the 31 plane of existence, most of the time you are within the sixth destiny. You are either born as a human being, or you are born as a rhyme of the four willful state, which could be the demon rhymes, the animal rhymes, or the beta rhyme, hungry ghost rhyme. Then finally, of course, there's the hell rhyme. Any of these are possible. Then for those that keeps their precepts and have like better morality and cultivated wholesomeness and merit, they can be born as devas. So the deva rhymes, there are 6 above the human rhyme. So this is called the 6th destiny. But they also include the form rhyme, where there are 16 Brahma rhyme. So those who cultivate concentration, samadhi, jhanas, they can be born in the Brahma rhyme. And these Brahma rhyme pertain to those who cultivate the 4 type of form jhanas. First jhana, second jhana, third jhana, and the form jhana. Then after that, they can move on to the other 4 formless jhana. They call it the 5th jhana, the 6th jhana, the 7th, and the 8th jhana. These are the arupa or formless rhyme. where they don't have a physical form. And this together with the Devaran, they call it a heavenly rhyme, Tien Pa Jie. So this rhyme is very extensive, very massive. So the 31 plane of existence cover all this. But when you are born as a Devas, or even the Brahmas, or as human being, you can also attain enlightenment within the existential realm. And when you become enlightened, it can be the sainthood way, where you experience enlightenment of the first fruit, the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna shape. Then the second stage of sainthood is Sakadagami shape. Then if you move on further, you can even experience the third fruit, or the third stage of sainthood, which is Anagami. Then finally, of course, the highest of the sainthood is the Arahantship. Once you realize Arahantship, there will be no rebirth technically after that form and mind pass away, after that parinibbana, unless that form and mind before they pass away or parinibbana, they manage to develop the bodhisattva vow and extend their cultivation into the bodhisattva way. And in that case, they can still come back, although they no longer have any more avijja. Then for those who took the bodhisattva way, they will keep on coming back as bodhisattvas. Then as a bodhisattva, they can choose whatever line they want to come based on their understanding, their vows and all those things. So these are very important understanding, because every life you come, there is one segment of your life. And all these segments, we go back to the nose. If you add them up, the summation of it will be our nature. There are two types of nature. So I will read on, then you will understand. The human being is just one segment of our countless birth and death. We are born into this world because of the law of karma. The law of karma brings forth the causes and conditions. The Buddha said, we are all born of our karma, heir to our karma, conditioned and supported by our karma, and we are what we are because of our karma. Hence, your question is very good and very appropriate, because in the Bodhisattva vow, I use the word, this nature of mind vows. The word, your nature, the meaning is very deep. It's not only about this form and mind alone, means this life. Because this one is just this life segment. It is just a vehicle and a tool for you to come during this existence. So when I use the word this nature of mind, it means all of the countless billions of birth and death, the billions and billions of form and mind that have come through karmic conditioning. The summation of all this is your form and mind's existence. That one will accumulate into a nature which we call karmic nature, means summation of all your karmic existences, the summation of everything you do, good and bad. They are all accumulated and become your karmic nature. That's why through this karmic nature, which is recorded in the nature's law, it will condition rebirth. There is another part which we call the spiritual nature. This one you must also understand. Spiritual nature means after you come as a form and mind, then you develop the cultivation, the understanding to meditate, and it enables you to connect to your nature, to that nature of yours, which is your true mind, your true nature. We are the silent mind. You can from that moment onward inherit your spiritual natures, perfection and cultivation, to continue your present life spiritual cultivation. And when you connect, that is the moment your spiritual nature with whatever spiritual cultivation, perfection, wisdom, and virtue that you have cultivated from the distant past until now will help you understand the cultivation faster. It can only come in at that time, not before. But if you don't meditate, if you don't have the ability to connect to that nature, you cannot inherit. You cannot do anything with your spiritual nature. You can only inherit your karmic nature. When I use those words, this nature of mine, it includes both the karmic and spiritual nature. Which means it's not about you now making the vow. All of the form and mind that come in the future, they are also included. Then when you cultivate the spiritual nature, they are all connected. That's why it will continue life after life until the full perfection. The nature is very different. Like when we vow, we use the word whomsoever from the distant past until now. That this nature of mind, whether knowingly or unknowingly, had caused any karmic negativity or suffering or misled. We would like to sincerely ask for forgiveness. It means you are requesting on behalf of your nature, meaning each and every birth and death, segmented life that you have come before, that has caused any karmic negativity, etc. That's why it's a very complete understanding. It covers everything. Hence, it is also the same for the Bodhisattva vow. It covers everything, not only this life. That this nature of mind is your entire nature, both karmic and spiritual. So sadhu to Sister Chin for asking such a good question. She will progress very fast if she can understand all this. I really rejoice. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, is there any other question? If you are not sure, you should ask, like Sister Chin. She can learn much faster because she is very sincere and she is a clean slate with hardly any conditioning. She just has faith, then read with faith. Whatever she doesn't understand, she asks. All her questions thus far are all very good and related. For someone who really wants to understand, she will inquire and investigate. Then the moment she understands, she will progress again. This is how meditation should be developed. You have to be sincere to cultivate sincerely. Don't be a person who is paiseh, means shy in Hokkien, and feel scared to ask. This is what the thought will tell you. The thought is paiseh and shy, not you. But if you are sincere, you just sincerely bring forth whatever question, because it will arise the causes and conditions for the Dhamma to flow. Do you have any more questions? Otherwise, we can meditate. We will switch off the light and you can have your 35 minutes of awareness-based meditation. I will set the alarm clock for 35 minutes, so that was during the session. Then my instruction was very simple. You can just relax and silence your mind. Then devote the training of your mind if you need to. If you already have the ability to meditate, then you can just continue with the meditation. Those who doing the recording. If you want to pause it, you can. Then the battery won't drain so fast. Then I ring the bell, ding, for the meditation to progress. Then finally, when the 35 minutes is up, I ring the bell again. And this one is a continuation after the meditation. We will continue with the sharing. For those who still want to meditate, you can continue. For those who are not, you can slowly and mindfully come out of the meditation. Always remember, you are here most of the time to stabilize your mindfulness, the silent mind, and to train yourself to develop the natural state of awareness, a free mind that is not in concentration or samatha meditation, not in one-pointedness or absorption state. Relax into every mind state that arises, and then maintain the silence and the awareness within to stabilize it. And when the silent mind stabilizes, it will become very different. It will enable you to develop the meditation. Then you will understand. After that, you have to make sure you can bring forth this trained mind state of awareness or sati, the silent mind, to be with you so that in the midst of life, you can use it to develop the daily mindfulness, accumulating into heedfulness, to be ever mindful, to understand and to develop the wisdom, and also the insight into phenomena. Also to use it to contemplate and cultivate the Noble Eightfold Path. All this will bring forth the spiritual path, the Dhammavit. When you are in sati leading to apamada or heedfulness, you are destined for enlightenment. So don't try to know, just maintain that daily mindfulness, awareness of all action and all movement or activity in the present moment throughout your life. Then when you go back, every action, every movement determined to be aware. Means after the class. When you reach home, it is the same. When you go to your office, working and cultivation is also the same. Maintain mindfulness. And this daily mindfulness will arise. It will stabilize. If you can, have a proper daily religious routine. Every day, when you reach home, pay respect to your altar. Early morning, after you wake up, before you get to do your daily chores, or answer nature's call, you can determine to pay respect to the Triple Gem first. If it's urgent that you have to answer nature's call first, then do it mindfully. After that, come out with full awareness to sit or meditate for a while. If you need to radiate loving kindness, metta, do it. If you need to do some chanting, do it. Then silence your mind to meditate for about 15 minutes at least, if you can. Half an hour would be better. Then you can share and transfer merits in the afternoon, whenever you have the free time, like lunch break or whatever. Develop the ability to silence your mind and meditate. Then at night before you sleep, do the same. In between, maintain mindfulness and awareness of whatever that is going on in life from moment to moment. If you cultivate this way, you will definitely progress and your mind will transform. You will become different. Heedfulness will arise. Then you will understand many things, including all the Dhamma sharing that I have given. Because they come from the silent mind and you can relate to them easily. Now we will open up for meditation reporting, followed by Q&A, question and answer. You can ask any question related to the meditation or the Dhamma. Okay, pass the mic to Sister PG. I think that time Sister PG had a question. He said, Matthew, on the way to work and while coming out to our class today, I was listening to last Thursday's Dhamma sharing by Sister Ingbi. The one thing that came to my mind is how true it is that we are attached to so many things, including good and bad people. She started off with negative people. Then she reflected on people who are kind to her, etc. To me, it shows that we are all so attached. Towards the end of today's sitting, it just occurred to me that the second noble truth on the cause of arising of suffering is so true. It is our attachment of craving that leads us to our suffering or dukkha. Every day, my mind is so restless. Now I can see that it is all due to my attachment to what I have done from way back then until now. Very often the mind just runs along. I could see the thought keep coming up. But of course, I have not reached a stage where I can be mindful enough to understand that all these thoughts coming up are just conditioned arising phenomena. Hence, they are impermanent, leading to suffering when we deludedly cling and grasp. The heedless mind without the wisdom just run along and continue to proliferate so fast. And that is the cause of all the restlessness in our mind, in our life. And that's also the reason why I can't sleep at night. This is just part of my sharing today, which I hope will help others to understand. Thank you. Then I reply. I say, very good. I rejoice with your latest understanding, even though you still can't cope with what has happened. To be able to see this is already a very good progress. It is the beginning of wisdom development, and later on, deeper understanding will follow. That's why the Buddha said, when you can see how all this mental activity, which are sankhara, born of your self-delusion, make you heedless, and behave that way, then you will understand that it is not because you do it or you make it. It is because of the conditioning, the attachment, and the self-delusion of sakayaditi, born of wrong view. You haven't developed the right view or ability to cope with what happened because the wisdom and the stability of understanding born of the second turning contemplation and third turning direct seeing is still not there yet. It is okay. It will come later because today is just the beginning. This is already very good because when you can see how your mind proliferates and think a lot via attachment, born of self-delusion as the cause of your suffering, you can then reflect and contemplate until very clear. Then retrospectively reverse it via straightening your views. If you reflect and check back via mindfulness, you will come to realize that is all the old story, the old attachment, your habitual tendency, your wrong view, and your opinions, the way you have been behaving, your conditioning, your reaction, your stirring of mind. And when you look clearly, all of a sudden you will realize and understand that this is what the Buddha meant by sabbe sankhara dukkha, means all of sankhara lead to suffering, dukkha. That is, all the sankhara or mental activity and thinking born of attachment brings about suffering, nothing else. Then like you said, They are all impermanent. They are also impermanent. You will come to understand the reason why the Buddhas say this famous saying, Sabbe Sankara Anicca. Anicca means impermanent. They come and they go. They are dependent, originating. You have to reflect and contemplate on all this until you understand them clearly. Then you will realize no point thinking, no point holding and reacting to all this sankara activity, mental activity. All these have become habitual tendencies, born of your wrong view and heedless thinking or heedlessness. These habitual tendencies are very difficult to root out. That's how it makes you heedless. That's how you become what you are. When you understand that this is the cause of suffering, what must you do? You have to straighten your view. Straighten your view means, what do you mean by straightening your views? It means to allow it to arise. Do not resist it. Don't suppress it. And don't try to control it. Do not be afraid of it. Just allow the sankhara to arise and pass away. Don't follow it. Don't continue your old way of habitual thinking, habitual verbalization and chattering, etc. Forget about all this because you already knew as you were in tears just now. Now that she progressed after that. If you saw that as the cause of your suffering, it means the second noble truth is so true. It is your attachment, your clinging, your self-delusion. When you give meaning to them, and all this seems so real and so important to you. All these are the understanding of me. This is an initial realization, realizing that these are all sankhara or mental thinking activity due to your wrong view, your conditioning, your belief system, etc. The way you perceive things. And mind make are they a phenomenal world of consciousness and illusion. Hence, how real can it be? Then why do you still continue to react, to stir your mind and allow all this wrong thought to proliferate, to tell you story, to make you believe all this? This is mere delusion, right? Why not allow them to be? We are seeing things as they are. Do not resist. Do not become unhappy. Do not blame yourself. And do not ask, why am I so heedless after hearing so much Dhamma, after going to so many meditation retreats? No need. You just accept them for what they are. Then there is no resistance, no suppression, no control. You allow it to be and let it flow. Then tell yourself, and this is very important, you must have this understanding. The untrained mind without the spiritual faculty, without the stability of understanding, is heedless. It always thinks a lot. This habitual tendency has yet to be rooted out. That's the reason why meditation is mainly about developing wisdom and the straightening of view to deal with all this. It's not about suppressing all this through calmness or concentration or through peacefulness of mind or through all the formal meditation, doing all the jhanas, everything. They don't serve much use. When you are peaceful in the midst of life and your mind is not in a conditioned state, the free mind does not think, does not proliferate, does not do all this. And that is the real meditation, the real samadhi, which is the real silent mind, the true mind, the meditative mind in the free state, not a conditioned mind. Hence, allow it to be, do not resist. Then through the silence, you will start to understand and witness slowly how the sankhara slow down, loses its power day by day. As you learn to accept the reality of the moment or what is, do not resist, do not try to do anything, because all this doing, trying, controlling, suppressing and resisting, they come from the thought. The thought create more mental activity and make you more heedless, because thought is knowledge, thought-based knowledge. Thought is not what they call the unconditioned true mind. The thought, being egoic, cannot understand the truth which is beyond thought. That's why it cannot see beyond thought. So to see beyond thought, you need to silence your mind, to realize the true mind, the awareness nature within. And that one can have the direct seeing. It can see things as they are. That one can see thought, the rising of thought, the passing away of thought. But thought cannot see awareness. Yeah, it don't have that energy, the wisdom, the understanding. Because thought is limited. Thought is just a small aspect of our true mind. It's dependent originating from there. So all this understanding is very useful. That's why thought-based meditation will not lead to awakening or enlightenment. And I read on. Knowledge, which is accumulation via memory, arises as thought to condition one to keep on saying, I must not think, I must not be heedless. If you do that, no point. Where the source of heedlessness is your deluded thinking, and your thinking comes from your thought, and thought is response to memory. As long as you accumulate and hold on to them via memory, heedlessness will continue. Why can't you just relax? Listen to this part. Why can't you just relax, silent, and let things be? Just like swimming, relax and free yourself. The natural tendency of your body is buoyancy. When you relax and do not struggle, you will float. You don't have to learn how to float, right? In a similar way, your mind, if you relax and allow it to be, then this thinking will slow down on its own, because the natural state of mind before its stirring and thinking and reaction to sense experience is stillness, silent, and just aware, without thought. So the moment you are without thought, you are already aware. Hence, the silent mind is very important. You just allow it to be until one day you will realize, hey, I don't have to do anything. I just have to relax, stay silent, maintain awareness. Then the silent mind just understand. Then you will realize your true mind. Don't try to know. Just be aware of the arising and passing away of all phenomena. That's it. Don't try to know. Don't try to link the Dhamma. Don't try to do anything. Then the understanding will arise naturally. It's just like how you saw your own suffering. After a long time of observation, you will come to understand. Then the next phase is to allow it to be. Don't resist. Don't fight it. Don't control. Don't suppress. Let it be. Then everything is just the way it is. You will witness and realize all this. They are just dependent originating mind state, condition arising, causal phenomena. Without ignorance, when you understand, you will straighten your view and allow it to be. There is no more resistance, suppression, nor control. There is also no more thought inside there to meditate or to call the meditator or the controller. For the controller is a control. and the meditator is the thought. When this is understood, the thought is no longer active. Then you will just allow it to be and let things be. But these habitual tendencies need wisdom to root out, and it will take some time. Then, like what J. Krishnamurti said, the very flowering of that thought, or thought process, is the very ending of that thought. Because thought is energy-based, dependent originating, condition arising via ignorance and delusion. When you have straightened your view and don't feed it with any more thought energy via delusion, when you don't do anything, everything will start to slow down. Then you will come upon the stillness or silence. And the stillness on its own, we are not doing anything. This is the third way to meditate, to overcome unwholesome thought as advised by the Buddha, is maintain awareness, silent everything. Be with it. If you find difficulty with the sitting posture, you can sit on a chair, like what I'm doing, or you can lie down, silent and just aware. The danger is initially when you do the lying down, it is still when you are still not stable with your training of the awareness, you may fall asleep. Initially it's okay, but maintain awareness within. Then later on, when you are skillful, you can lie down on the floor to meditate. This is the most relaxed posture. If you know how to relax and just let things be, then the silence will be more and more and more. And this is mindfulness. If you have trained yourself in anapanasati, then do anapanasati. After you come out of your meditation, you can continue with your anapanasati. But you have to relax into every mind state that arises. And whatever thought that arises, just let it be, because when you are in this very strong, continuous mindfulness, the defilements are also suppressed. It's the same as concentration and energy field meditation. You have to relax and release it out into normal awareness. That's why for those who do anapanasati, when they are very absorbed in their meditation, they are not able to develop much wisdom, because it's a conditioned state with all the mental hindrance still suppressed. You have to release it out and then go into daily mindfulness cultivation. Train the mind to reach the stability of a normal mind, not in a conditioned state. Then use that free mind to meditate, to live life. Use it to understand what is going on in life, to observe yourself, the movement of thought, the movement of activities of mind, sankhara, and your aggregates of mind. You will witness all the essential Dhamma within your form and mind. Take, for example, the mindfulness of the five mental hindrance, which is the first category of practice. When you cultivate the fourth foundation of mindfulness, or Dhammanupassana, you will start to see them according to the Sutra. Because when you are silent, observant, and just aware, you will understand how the unarisen mental hindrance comes to be. They arise due to your wrong view at the moment of sense experience. According to the Buddha, without the stable five spiritual faculties, the five mental hindrances will arise. They will hinder your mind from entering the meditative states of inner peace and inner awareness. These five mental hindrances of sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness of mind and doubt, will become your habitual tendency, thereby making you heedless. If I just let it be and continue to relax and maintain awareness to silence within, then sati will arise. Because you no longer stir the mind via wrong view to arise the mental hindrance of sensual desire and evil. That's how you meditate. When you become quiet, peaceful, and still, you don't deludedly give the mental hindrance any more meaning. We are arising the spiritual faculty of sati. This mental hindrance will disappear and cease to be. Then you will come to realize that the original state of mind, without the wrong view to condition those sankharas stirring and thinking via habitual tendency, is already in the meditative state of inner peacefulness and stillness. Realizing this is wisdom. That's how one meditates. Sati or mindfulness will give rise to the pure awareness, which is the original state of our true mind before the stirring. It will arise. It is already mindful. It is already aware. It is already peaceful. This is how you learn. Then, like what the Sutra say, you will come to understand how the arisen mental hindrance is to be. Just by not doing anything, following the Buddha's third way to meditate, we are just silent and aware that it will cease. To develop the more stable wisdom, you have to use the fourth way, as taught by the Buddha, to trace the origination factor via sati, then retrospectively reverse it. It every time comes in through your senses. So if you are mindful and aware, you will come to know the origination factor, means how you become angry, how you become fearful, how you become unhappy. All the negativity of sankhara mind state, you can trace its origination factor. It's always through one of your senses, especially via your seeing, hearing, or the thought memory, the mind of. This is how you come to trace its origination factor via sati, or via being mindful or aware. Then don't react or stir your mind, just allow it to be. The natural state of mind, which is already aware or in sati, will arise. Because without thought, you're already aware. This is how you meditate. Regarding tracing the origination factor, you have to be very mindful. Stability of mindfulness. It's always from one of your senses. Your thinking is the mind all, and it moves very fast. It arises every time you see something. The moment of sense experience, sense perception, sense or consciousness, seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness, thought consciousness, etc. Then later on, when you are more skillful, more stable in your daily mindfulness cultivation, you can even understand how your taste and smell consciousness function, how it arises, the subtle craving of sensual desire and ill will, which are mental hindrance. They are your wrong view. You will also understand. You will understand them all. Then when you reflect and contemplate, you will start to understand that thing is just the way it is. When I'm near something smelly or pungent or with foul smell, the senses will pick it up. Then your mind has two choices, whether you accept the reality of the moment and determine to be peaceful with it, or the moment you smell it through your perception and negativity of mind reaction, you stir your mind, you react. Then you will have aversion to move away. This is how I saw it within my mind, how the unerased mental hindrance of ill will or dislike comes to be. Why can't I just accept the reality of what is? I'm just a form of mind with the senses. When I'm nearby, I will sense it or smell it. If I have to endure, I have to endure. If I have to let it be, then walk past it. Because thing is just the way it is. When I'm near this place, the sense experience will come. If I can accept it, I don't have to fight it, resist it, or push it away. Technically, I haven't, I don't have to do anything. I just mindfully move on. If I need to walk away, then I just walk away. The best test is about 20 plus years ago, I like to walk to our Pasar Malam, night market in SS2, and also the Waisakai, which is the Glutton Square. Yeah? Because at night, they have a lot of nice food. At that time, my mindfulness was already so stable. I saw how the sense data came and how upon contact it triggers consciousness, then how the mind wants to latches on to it because of habitual tendencies. With that understanding, it can accept things as they are, their understanding. When your senses are there, when you are nearby, it will come. And this is what the Buddha called dependent originating, condition arising phenomena. Sankhara, mind state are they. They arise and they pass away following the law of dependent origination. That's how the understanding frees the mind. Then it just sense, it just aware. And it does not get lost in thought. It does not get entangled anymore. It moves on. It's fully aware and mindful. That's how daily mindfulness is to be cultivated. I can still decide what I want to buy. Sometimes I just walk by one round, then I come back. Didn't buy anything. Sometimes I buy something. Whenever I travel or move around, even while in my office, my mind is very sensitive and fully aware. I can sense many things, but it's not involved because it has the understanding. These are the realities. If you continue with this type of training on daily mindfulness or daily mindfulness cultivation, straightening your views constantly, you will progress much faster than those who just go for formal. I read again. You will progress much faster than those who just go for formal meditation and retreat. To experience all of the good meditation, calmness, and peacefulness, but never develop the daily mindfulness, never contemplate to develop the straightening of their views, to develop the wisdom to cope with life, to cope with the mundane and the heedless thinking mind, the delusion and the attachment. You will definitely progress a lot faster compared to these people. And this is real meditation, not just the sitting, walking, and doing without understanding. Those are just for those who still have the mental hindrance and those whose spiritual faculty are not stable yet to train their mind. That's the reason why they have to do that. They have no choice. They have to anchor their mind to an object of meditation. And these are all thought-based, still involving a lot of thought-based noting and doing. Have you not suffered enough via your delusion all this while? Do you still want to continue with all this type of gullible meditation? The moment you come out of this type of meditation retreat, you are back to square one. And very soon you become heedless again. Why can't you see that clearly? Why can't you develop the understanding and remind yourself, I need to be mindful in the midst of life. I need to have awareness, sati. I need to have all this understanding so that I can cope with life, so that I can cope with the sense experiences. arising from the sixth sense door. Do you know how they arise and pass away so fast? In the midst of life, mental activity arise and pass away so fast. Sense experience arise and pass away so fast. Hence, without a stable daily mindfulness, leading to heedfulness in daily life, how can you cope with life? Without wisdom, without yoniso, manasikara, the wise attention at the moment of sense experience, you cannot cope with life. Then you can forget about meditation. We are according to Dhammapada verse 21 of the Buddha. The heedless are as if dead. Hence, all this doing without understanding have got no more meaning. If you meditate with understanding, then you will try. If you meditate without understanding, then you are trying to fool yourself, deceiving yourself, thinking that you have meditated. But no, the real meditation is to understand all this in the midst of life, to see your defilement, to see the essential Dhamma, to straighten your view, to free your mind, not to latch on to all those so-called good meditation via delusion anymore, and not to cling on to them anymore. Wisdom cannot be developed via knowledge. It is only possible to develop it via the silent mind that sees and understands all this. If you are serious about life, serious about meditation, you will see them through your silent mind. That's the reason why meditation is about training the mind to be aware, stabilizing it, developing the spiritual faculty to overcome the mental hindrance. When you have cultivated a five spiritual faculty until they are very stable, your mindfulness will be there. You will be mindful naturally throughout the day. You will meditate very easily in every posture, anywhere, anytime, at any place. The problem with human beings is, initially, they are already heedless because they haven't developed the opposite five spiritual faculty to cope with their mental hindrance. And they don't know what to do, just like your case. You only start to see them, to see how it affects you and how it torments you. The second noble truth is so true and clear to you only now. If this is the case, then you have to determine and inquire, how can I develop the wisdom to free my mind? How can I come out of it? How can I develop the wisdom, especially the contemplative wisdom of the second turning, to free? Reflect on the Dhamma that the Buddha had taught us. Reflect on what I have shared with you. I have introduced a lot of skillful means, a lot of understanding for you to awaken, to liberate, for you to understand and not to be gullible anymore. These are all the understanding that can help you straighten your views. I used to advise you as follows. Whenever you are not peaceful and not happy, the mental hindrance are there. This is a very important understanding. This is how you check your defilement. You will come to realize that you have been holding on to this like and dislike, or pleasant and unpleasant reaction of mind. All this wrong. That's why most of the time you are heedless and not peaceful. To sleep also you have difficulties. But now at least you can see all this as a cause of suffering. Then when you relate it to the Dhamma, you will understand. No wonder the Buddha says Sabbe Sankhara, means all of mental activity lead to suffering. And why did the Buddha say Sabbe Sankhara Anicca? Why did he say they are all impermanent, as I have explained? You have to reflect and contemplate until you understand. Sankhara are mental activities, and they arise and they pass away. That's why they are impermanent. They are conditioned arising, dependent originating, based on your views and opinions. Wrong view create wrong thought. You have to understand what constitute wrong thought. Only then can you determine to arise the right effort to abandon them. Where these are evil thoughts that are unfit for attention, according to the Sutra, Sutra. Then things that you have to endure, you have to endure. For precepts, you have to exercise restraint. You have to restrain from killing, causing harm, etc. When condition is harsh, you have to endure. You have to endure. Dangerous situation, you have to avoid. For some defilements, you have to overcome them through wisdom. You have to reflect and contemplate and develop the understanding to straighten your view. When you have the ability to see what constitutes evil and wrong thoughts, then you can arise the right effort to abandon them straight away. We are using the 5 ways as taught by the Buddha. The first 2 ways are still thought-based, and the third way is meditative, followed by the 4th way, which is the wisdom way. After you have the ability to abandon them, you can arise the right effort to prevent them from arising the next time. The moment you see or hear, you will know habitual tendency, which are your old ways of reaction to sense experience. They will come again. Then you can use your understanding, your wisdom to stop it. You are saying, enough. You have caused me enough suffering before, that it ceases to be. The defilement moves with the same pattern. You just aware and you will understand. Just like what happened to Sister Alicia, 16 years of severe depression. She just came out of it after having this understanding. There is no need for any medication or to visit a psychiatrist anymore. After that, every time the thought tries to arise, to let her think the old way, the negative way, she will just say, enough. Then that thing ceases, finished. You have tormented me long enough. That's it, enough. That is so stupid of me, she used to say. She can do it now because she has the understanding, the new understanding. I think we better stop here. Huh? It's already 4:06. Okay. The last sentence of page 59. Huh? Okay. So you all can now start your awareness-based meditation. We are all the light. So just remember the 4 support to develop awareness-based meditation. The first 3 is very important. Just relax into every mind state that arises. Body and mind completely relax. And maintain awareness. Don't try to know, don't try to do anything, don't resist, don't fight. Just aware, finish. Aware, finish. Then the third support is to stabilize the awareness nature within until your mind becomes very quiet, very still. Just continue to develop that. And for those who already know how to stabilize their awareness, you can use it to meditate. To use it to meditate is very simple. Just maintain awareness. And whatever arises, let it arise. Then through the awareness, the silent mind doing the observation, it will be able to understand many things. Then it can also, through that silence, awaken or insight into phenomena to understand the 3 universal characteristics, etc. Okay, I'll let you meditate on your own. Okay, you all can slowly, mindfully come out of the meditation. Then we can actually go to the second session. Try to maintain whatever inner peace, inner calmness, inner awareness that you have developed for as long as you can. These are the mind state that you need to use to live life, to develop the stability of daily mindfulness, to be heedful in the midst of life. Okay, so now we will open up for meditation reporting, followed by whatever question you may have. You can also ask them.
Patriarch?
Yeah, yes.
PG here?
PG, yes. PG, yes. Yeah.
Is it okay if I...
Yeah, okay. You're come in. Yes.
Seeing that today's Dharma talk was about what I shared so many years ago.
Yeah, 6 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate that I should continue with it.
Yes,
yeah.
Very good. That's why you improve. From that day, 6 years ago, when you start to see this, you become different.
Yeah, Virgil, way back then, I think I was still working.
Yeah, you are still working, yes.
I could see how heedless I was then. And of course, I have the affinity to with the Sutra. Yeah. Also live through. Okay. Seeing that. How to say? Without the Dharma understanding, it is so easy to become heedless.
Yeah.
And being unaware of the mind.
Correct.
I react so easily.
Yeah.
And of course, all this heedlessness will lead to a lot of karmic negativity.
Yeah, correct. Yes, true.
And of course, the wrong views were so strong. And with the habitual tendencies and the conditioning. Yeah. And of course, the self-delusion that with the view that, but I am right. I didn't do anything wrong. You know, that's the usual thing. Yeah,
that is a very common mistake of heedless people, because they believe they are not wrong. They always say, it's not because of me. These people make me like that. But the egoic mind, the personality that is inside there, that make them think that way, they cannot see. Because it is not what they think. Because that thought process is an egoic entity, which is not the true mind. So if you use that to act, to live, you will be confused and you will get yourself entangled. Because that is the only instrument they understand. Then they will use the entity to chatter, to develop the dialogue within, and the command and all the verbalization that leads to all this emotion. Because when you don't have somebody creating all this, then the whole of the understanding of life transforms. But when you have an egoic mind that do all this, then they are caught in their own delusion, the sakkayaditi, where the I and the me is actively trying to reason, to justify, to come out with the what they call justification to be right. Then they take side and all those things. So this you can see they are happening to almost 90% of the population. Most people have that type of tendency, habitual tendency, views, opinion, conditioning, belief system, and they are very sensitive when it comes to race, religion, belief system, and all those things. So even societies day-to-day happening, you can see people have different type of views, opinion, and approach to things. But nowadays, luckily, with all the social media, the video, so a lot of things can be like shown in a different perspective, because you cannot, like last time, cover up a lot of things. So when people don't have enough information, then they can easily be conditioned into believing. But when they start to see the social media type of video coming out, then they realize, hey, this is really dangerous. The way they drive their motorbike, the way they drive their bicycle and all those things. So now they got new name, bicycle raja, or what they call rampage and all those things. So in the past, we don't know how serious this thing is and how dangerous this thing is until you see them. Of course, when I was young, I also saw some of this, because in our village also there are people who like to do all this. But at that time, it was, I think, the 60s, and the early 70s. That time, not so fierce and not so rampant. It's only once a while where you got somebody very skillful who perform the cycling skill and show, not as it is nowadays. So what you realize at that time, 6 years ago, was very good, very beautiful, and it leads to transformation. It leads to the way you approach life differently, because you saw that you don't want to end up that way, because that is the understanding that will change a person. Unless you see, you won't change. You will continue to justify, like you said just now. That is how the mundane mind will continue to be heedless and go the way of delusion, subtlety. Very good, Vijay. Continue, yeah.
Yeah, Bratio, especially in a work environment where where we tend to fight for our rights, and of course that our views be respected, and sometimes that lead to a lot of clashes. And but without the Dharma understanding, Bratio, it really leads to a lot of suffering and
unnecessary
very
conflict,
intense
unhappiness, and argument.
Yes.
Which is very true. Which is very true. That's why, as a human being, we must have this understanding. If we are wrong, we must be willing to accept we are wrong. Then we don't argue over unnecessary things. Sometimes in the career line, because they want to protect their position, they want to protect their division, their company, then they become unscrupulous. They say things which are very, very negative. But in life, it is not like that. You have to really have principles. Means if you are wrong, admit you are wrong. Then nothing wrong with being wrong, because everybody makes mistakes. Not everybody is a perfect soul. The truth is, the world is full of people who make mistakes, and mistakes are very common. Not until you have the wisdom, the experience, and the understanding, we tend to make mistakes. So as we go through life, where whatever mistake we actually have done, we must be willing to admit. Then only we become truthful to ourselves, towards the nature's law that governs life. Then we realize, by being this way, we become a better person. We no longer become deluded, selfish, emotional. Then we no longer have the tendency to deceive and to cheat, to be right. We go by understanding, go by correct moral principles, but not according to one's views and opinion. It's something like, if you have done wrong, you admit. You don't have to argue your way out of thin air to change the situation, because sometimes you did something wrong. It leads to compensation or punishment or whatever. You have to face it, you have to face it, you have to go through it, you have to go through it, because that is the decision that the individual make. The form and mind is subject to karma. It is subject to all this society's law, rules, and all those things. Then the other side of it is a law of karma. That's why for cultivator, we all know it's never worthwhile to go against the nature's law. No matter how you cover, how you deceive, cheat, and do all those things, finally, you also have to face the music. Maybe you end up paying more heavily. By the time people find out, it would have led to a lot of very negative things happening. So, ability to straight away nip it in the bud, understand what happened, then go with your understanding to admit responsibility, then move on. It need to say, I'm sorry, I don't mean it. Go ahead. That's why when we realize our mistake, we need to ask for forgiveness. We ask for forgiveness. Then we vow not to commit all this again. Then from there on, we change. We change for the better. That's how we actually move on in life. We improve our karmic nature. We improve our understanding. Then we evolve the form and mind. So through understanding, all this become possible. But through deceiving people, cheating people, negative tendency, all this will not work. This will make the individual worse, because by doing all this, they think they can get out of trouble. They can deceive people and get their way, get themselves out of the way, not to be subject to all this so-called punishment or whatever. But end of the day, they will come to realize it's never worth the effort. It's never worth the pain. So all this, there are nature's law that governs life and existence. Then it will move. Then for your case, I think most of you all start by applying Noble Eightfold Path. Then you start to see the difference. Then you realize all this negativity is because we lack this teaching, the Noble Eightfold Path understanding, to accept the reality and all those things, and to understand the spiritual law, law of karma, law of mind, and all this. So these are the comprehensive understanding behind. That's why end of the day, after we understand all this essential Dhamma and comprehensive understanding, then we know how to live. We know how to act. We will become sincere, truthful. We will not lie. We will not cheat. Just never work the effort. Then we realize the precepts are important, because these are the moral guides, moral code, to actually prevent the individual from falling into karmic negativity and all those things. So there is another big area of field of cultivation that the cultivator can develop. Once they see all this, once they have gone through all this, like your case, it has been 6 years already. Now you are so different compared to last time. Then the stages of straightening of view, transformation, and approach to life, you yourself will know. You yourself will have the understanding because you have gone through it. But for people who have not yet started, not yet have the ability to be aware of all this, and still want to argue to be right, and then you will know that's how dangerous delusion is, Sakaya Ditti is, how heedless living beings are. So all this understanding will surface. That's why we used to share, I used to share with people, you don't have to worry. Dhamma is like that. It's not so fast people catch up on. Not until they understand, they won't change. If they don't change, they will never walk the path. Then if they don't walk the path, they cannot transform. Even after they walk the path, it takes a while for those who actually understand the awareness-based meditation, to really go in, experience the awareness stability inside the true mind, then only develop the transformation. Then finally, of course, we have the fourth support, which is trust, that lead to the detection of the gateway. That when we are able to detect that gateway, that transformation, that one is very difficult, very unique. That's why it takes a long time. And people cannot just overnight understand and move on unless they have their past, which I don't think there are that many around. There are, but not that many. So all this understanding will start to unfold. That's why with your example, your case, this one, it can lead to a lot of understanding. And for people who have yet to see all this and understand all this, hopefully it's a condition for them to develop the faith and the understanding that this thing can be done. What you need is the perseverance, the faith, the mindfulness, the understanding to see all this, then to develop some form of awakening to change. Means the beginning of change, like I mentioned. After this, you will progress very fast. But that ability to see all this is the beginning of cultivation, transformation, leading to all the possibility that the Dhamma has unfolded for cultivators of the way. That's why you are able to actually move on and progress until today, which is so beautiful. It's because of all this that started 6 years ago. Luckily, we still have the date. So the talk was dated 27 November 2016. Yeah. Then the book came out. 1 month later only, so fast. Yeah, 31st December 2016, 1 month later. Yeah, PG, good. You can continue. Yes.
Right. One of the things that I learned, which I feel is very useful and very important to our cultivation, is to accept things as it is, meaning that all things are condition arising. It takes me so long to be able to accept this, because it's like
to grasp this important principle of the Dhamma.
Yeah, because we always feel that we have a certain amount of control for
correct. Yes.
how things should go.
Yeah.
So because it's like the logical mind says, what do you mean by everything is condition arising?
Yeah.
You want to walk this way, you walk this way. You want to walk this way, you walk this way.
Correct.
Yeah? If you want to choose your life to go this way, you will go this way. But like you say, sooner or later that condition will come back to you. So if I cannot accept this, you will learn it what we call the hard way.
Yeah, the hard way, yes.
Yeah. So if I can allow things to be and see it and learn from it, my life will be so much simpler.
Yes, a lot more easier and beneficial. And you will actually have a lot of joy after that.
Yeah, true. Because I mean, it's such a simple sentence, but it how to say it? It's so much a large part of our life.
Yes, and it only has meaning to cultivate all the way, because the heedless can never accept that sentence, accepting as they are. What you mean? They do this to me, also I accept. See, they will react that way because they don't know the causes and condition behind. Last time when you did this to other people, why don't you question the same? Then now you become the victim. You come back. Then you say, how can they do this to me? Who are they? So a lot of these things come from the thought. You realize it's the egoic mind, the thought which create all this concept, idea, justification, That's why I said the thought is very good at reasoning, at analyzing things. When you reason and analyze, what happens is there will be right and wrong, good and bad. The duality will arise. Then it's not about the truth anymore. When you start to analyze and reason, it's ending up in argument. Who reason? The egoic mind, the thought reason. Who analyze? The selfish person with a view and an opinion analyze. And when he analyzes his views and opinion, is going to condition him. And whatever he come to conclusion is always biased in a certain extent, even though he or she claim to be a professional, but there is certain aspect of bias behind, because their belief system and all this will condition them into that way. But when it comes to being truly impartial and professional, means to be able to see beyond the race, the belief system, and only focus on principles of truth, nature's understanding, nature's law, and all those things, then you make your decision based on that sincerity and impartiality. It's not easy. That type of people are very rare. You need enlightened people to be in that position. And most of these enlightened people, they don't want to get involved with this issue because no meaning. Why you want to argue in the first place? Why you want to get yourself entangled with all this? This is not what you think. And they can see it very clearly. But to non-cultivator, this is like very hot topic. So, like a very interesting topic to argue to. Like, that's why whatever judgment the judge gave, there are two sides of the coin. People will look at it from two opposite sides. And this is where opinion come in, judgment come in, comments come in, because we live in a world of duality, conditioned world, existential world. Duality exists, argument exists, difference of opinion exists. We are each and every individual. We are all different. We have different culture, tradition, background, and even views, opinion, and conditioning, belief system. All this make us very different. That's why physically we are already different from the color and all those things. Then gender, then external appearances already make us different. Then when you see beyond the form, you look at the mind with all the mundane thinking, the knowledge and the thought process and the conditioning, and again, we are so different. That's why the world is finding it very difficult to have peace, to agree on even simple things, because most of them are selfish. Then for you to have the ability to see beyond the external form and the mind, the thought process and the knowledge, to see through the reality like you experience, is very rare, very difficult. To do that, you need the meditative mind, the silent mind, to see things as they are, to understand what is the reality. Then to go to that level, like the Buddha said, whatever that arise, there are causes and conditions. And if causes and conditions are already set, things will have to be that way, no other way. That's why truth is, the reality is at that moment. Whatever arises, that is the reality. That is suchness, ta. So if you cannot accept and want things your way, you will suffer. Because wanting things your way doesn't fit into the nature's condition, nature's law. So human beings' problem come from their inability to understand this. And most people have their views, opinion, and way of doing things. So they can never accept what happened, what is. They will have a lot to say, a lot to comment, and a lot to come out with the idea to say otherwise. So these are common reality that as a cultivator, we will be able to observe and see. At the end of the day, we would rather just remain silent unless there is condition to arise something, to help people develop some form of understanding or to bring about harmony or what. Otherwise, no point. You arise, it become more complicated. People don't appreciate what you do. Instead, they will tell you off. So these are the causes and conditions behind a lot of things that arise within our existential world, our society, our planet. So all this, I think, unless you are cultivator the way with the mindfulness and the awareness, you will not understand. You will not have this type of understanding or knowledge. That's why they will move away from reality. They will try to come out with all sorts of arguments or justification. That's why the thought process, the reasoning, the analysis, the argument, they will keep on manifesting. So unless one is a cultivator who has the Dhamma and the understanding and the awakening, they can never actually understand the truth. That's why the truth are not easy to comprehend. And only the wise can realize it, each for themselves. So this aspect of the Dhamma is not easy. Vijay, you can continue.
Yeah, Bertil. Earlier you were talking about karmic nature.
Yeah.
Now, I see these two examples that I'm about to give you as very typical karmic consequences if we do not how to say cultivate the Buddha Dharma as we are given the opportunity now. Okay. One of them is like what you have earlier said about the bicycle Lajak case. I really sympathize with her. She's just at the wrong place at the wrong time. And unfortunately, society, I wouldn't say society, I would say the certain people who are in position put her in a very difficult place, okay? Give her that sentence. But at the same time, learning Dharma, we can see that all this has causes and conditions.
Yeah, from the past, yes.
So I hope that she will have the blessings to be able to overcome this situation and that her life, she can return back to her normal life. And not to be jailed. It's so, I will use the word unfair. She is just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Okay.
Correct.
And another example,
I would like tend to now understand, and they try to help her with the petition. And the petition are never before 1.71 million supporting her. Very rare case. It's because of her parami too. If she don't have the parami, this thing also would arise, and it's meant to be for people to see. This one actually cut across race and religion, because she is a Chinese, and a lot of Malay came out and support her. So we can see actually from this example, a lot of things that is meant to be will be, then it will actually happen. Then like what you mentioned just now, and what I shared, because of the social media, now we have more actually access to the video clip and all those things. Then when you have more information, then as more and more logical people or more sincere people read with understanding, their opinion change. They will not become so conditioned by race and what they call religion. They take the moral rule of law as the basis for what they saw, because this one is very good as an example where it has a lot of moral value behind, where it involves the children and the children's parents. And those who see the video, they know it's so dangerous. No matter how good you are as a driver, I tell you, if you come across such people, there is no way you can really escape. That's why it's a miracle if nothing happened. So sometimes even on their own, without any vehicle, you see, they fell. They land themselves into problem and they clash among one another. So to them, it's fun because they are still young. Actually, they are risking their life, their future, and their parents who actually gave them life, supported them, and brought them up. And they never think of the consequence that can actually cause the parents so much agony should anything bad happen to them. Just like all the incident. Then also it involved the miserable lady. But all this has its causes and condition from the past. That's why it can manifest. That's why she happened to be the one there. There are causes and condition behind. Then also you can also talk about the late night, 3 a.m. and all that. But means all the causes and conditions are there. It has to be that way. Then all these people has coming connection. So because of that coming conditioning and connection, then this thing happen. And when it happened, how the public react and how after so many years, this thing still brought up, they go and appeal to High Court and the High Court just come out with this type of judgment. Then the whole community started the discussion and the understanding start to surface. That's why now the social media is playing its role in a manner which I see is more positive now. And a lot of issue now is cutting across race and religion, which is a good sign for our country. Otherwise, this country really not much hope left. But with this new awakening beginning, many things I think has changed. So with more and more people with the understanding and the good mind state, they think differently. They prefer the rule of law and they want to educate people. So these are the bigger picture that cultivator can see. Like for your case, you can also see. And that's why you give this example, which is very true. Sadhu, Vijay.
Bertil, I give you another example of what a good parami is, Bertil.
Sadhu.
I wish a Christian friend of mine, happy Easter today.
Yeah.
And she sent back to me greetings from Vatican.
Yeah.
That is in Rome.
Yeah,
so she says, "Oh, I'm now in Vatican, and I got two tickets to attend the Easter Mass conducted by the Pope."
Yeah.
Bertil, how many Malaysians got this chance?
Bertil? Yeah, very rare. Yes.
Very rare. I was like so happy for her.
Yeah. Sadhu.
Like really a blessing for her, you know.
Yeah,
so we can see how good parami and not so good parami come into play in our life.
Yes, so, very true. Sadhu, very good.
So it's also how do you say it's something for us to think about in our cultivation, Bertil.
Right, yes, very true.
Bertil, the other thing that I find this sentence that you have always mentioned, it is so important, Bertil. Cultivation is in the midst of life. To be aware of our mind, Bertil. It is so important, and so when we really reflect on it, it's like everything that happens, we should not just mindlessly go through it.
Yeah, correct. You must not ignore, because this is part of life, part of existence. That's why within existence, there is where the Dhamma is. But this is how the human mind actually behaves. Within existence, everything arises. That's why the Buddha came out with the opening statement, the Dhammapada verse 1 and 2. Mind is the forerunner of all things. Mind is chief. Where mind arises, all things arise. This is referring to our mundane mind, the thinking mind, the existential mind, the dependent originating mind. So this mind is what karma is all about. This mind is what creation is all about, existence is all about. That's why life is our greatest teacher. And meditation is life itself. And this statement is so profound, so true. That's why the first time I heard about it, my nature rejoiced. And I knew all along that meditation is related to life. That's why life itself is the meditation. Without life, there is no meditation. That this is the Tao Chang, or they call the way place where you can put yourself to the cultivation, to the test, to experience all this form and minds, creation, the senses, the content of consciousness, and the manifestation of the 18th sense rhyme. But these are the basis of existence. Consciousness and its content that manifests and created the phenomenal world of consciousness and form. And this is how the universe come to be. This is how living beings comes to be. That's why from there we start to realize that that mind, although not the true mind, the mundane mind, that one is also important. Because that one is subject to karma. That one is the tool you need to come to this existential world, to experience life, to live life, to go through life, to do everything that you want to do in life. So understanding this is the beginning of more in-depth cultivation. That's why for you, the further understanding has surfaced. Well, by the time you can understand that profound saying that meditation is life itself, that one is very profound. That one will transform you again. Then you realize nothing is apart from life. Because without life, you learn Dhamma, you cannot understand. You have to go through life. That's why if you stay in the cave, stays in the what they call forest, or alone in some quiet place or far away place, away from society, you can only train your mind to be peaceful, calm, tranquil, and interact more and more with nature. But the moment you come down to society to experience life, you like cannot adjust. You cannot like fit in. And it's like, oh, this is not for you. Then you run away again. It's like last time in the past, I remember a lot of cultivators, whenever they got problem, they go retreat. They go retreat. They go and calm themselves down, find some peace. Then after that, they come out again, they have problem, they run away again. So if that is the thing that they do, they will never comprehend truth because it's not related to life. To relate to life, you have to come out into society in the midst of life and existence to experience every aspect and facet of existence and life, even to actually see the social media, the broadcasting from the TV, or now even our handphone, the computers, the internet, the AI technology, then we must stay in tune with progress of science and technology, the evolution of civilization, and many other things. That's why all these are evolving. And as an individual, if you want to really have the understanding, we have to cultivate in the midst of life. That's why finally I came out into life. I develop the daily mindfulness. I silence my mind. Then I interact and I develop understanding. Then later on, when there were conditions in the year 2004, I willing to come out to share. And through the sharing, I learn a lot more because I can see different people with different karmic paths and parami, how they arise and how they come to meet up with my nature, and how I share and all those things. So all these are very beautiful sharing because unless you have the causes and condition to go through all this, there are a lot of things about cultivation we can never understand. That's why if I don't share with you all about my past and what I inherit, all this cannot be passed down. Then likewise, if I don't interact with a lot of you all as Kayamita with different background, different conditioning and understanding, my nature cannot evolve further. Then also, of course, all the other great beings that manifest and how my nature interact. All these are very rich understanding that can manifest. That's why every segmented life a cultivator come, there are a lot of things that are possible that can happen in life, in existence, not otherwise. So very good, PJ. Sound good to you.
Yeah, Bertil. Let me share what happened to me last week. Actually, it was last Sunday. I went to help my friend to cover up her apartment and all that because she was starting renovation on the next day. That is Monday. So she got her ex-office cleaner to come and help us. So there were 3 of us. So as we were working after lunch, at one time the maid went into the bathroom to collect water, and she used the detachable shower head and put it into the pail, not realizing that actually the water has splashed out onto the corridor floor.
Oh, okay.
And of course, I had the unfortunate moment to walk past, and I had a very bad fall, Bertil.
Oh, okay.
I slipped and I hit the left side on my hips, and my hand went out, and it was excruciating, Bertil. It was so terrible.
Yeah, very painful.
It was so painful. So painful I could not even scream, Bertil.
Yeah. Because you have the awareness and the mindfulness. Your scream also no point because you will endure. You will know how to endure. You will go through it. This is very.
I was quite badly shaken because of the very hard heat on the body. And after resting a while, I chose to continue with to do the work. I mean, I have a lot of people asking me why don't I go off and to seek treatment. But I said that somehow the pain and the mind was like two different things, right?
Different things. Yes, you can understand.
I could just work through it for another like 6 hours. With the hand very painful, Project. It's so painful. And after that, I drove back, and then take my bath and everything. Only the next day, I went for X-ray and to seek treatment. Project, what I learned from this thing is
incident. Yes.
It how do I say it? Like when this thing happened, and subsequently the next few days, there was no chattering in the mind, Raju.
Sadhu. Very good. That's how a cultivator understands it. That's why it transforms you completely. Then sometimes when that thing happened that time, even though like you say, excruciating pain, very severe or thing, But the mind has become different. Like you said, the pain is not suffered at the mind anymore. The mind can accept that reality. Meant to be will be. Because sometimes when you later on you will reflect back and you will understand. These are karmic that need to be repaid. You understand not? It is better for you to go through this and experience that type of suffering or so-called physical suffering that you need to pay back rather than having it happening in the
Accident,
highway. In the highway and all those things. That's why I also came to understand all this, because when a lot of things that actually after you have the Dhamma already, it like, but mine was not as bad as yours. Now I accidentally banged against a metal piece. Then, like you say, the pain was so terrible, but you don't even like want to shout out. You just understand at the moment. The mind is so different. It can just accept the reality, and I even laugh. And I know normal people cannot take it. Then when you about to fall, and well, there was once I fall, that's why my face, I landed on the floor and all those things. I can decide, because I have the mindfulness, as how to fall, which part to fall. So actually I was holding a file. Then I used the file to protect my hand and my leg. But because of age, that time I was 60, I think 60 years old. Then my head actually, my face, not my head, my face actually scratched the pathway, the pathway where people walk on. I scratched it a bit. Then there was some blood. That's it. Then I just walk up. Then I cleaned myself. Then it was near my office. So I went back to the office. I used the tissue and I cleaned. Then I asked for first aid. Then I think the office don't have. So I actually came home where I got my antiseptic at home. So I just cleaned it up. So it was okay. So all this is for you to see, for you to understand. Then when we have that mind, like you say, not only is quiet, it doesn't chatter, it can just accept and move on and do what you have to do. Because this should be the way to understand life and to move on. Not to go and blame, get angry with the maid, why is so stupid, why go and splash on. So the point, the reality is happened already. Causes and condition is such. Meant to be will be. That's why all this will happen. Then we can also ask the question, how come you, not your friend, not the maid? And also, how come that day he go and call the office helper, the cleaner, to come and all these things? It cannot be so coincidental, means there are causes and conditions behind. And it's a lot better for people to take it in such condition. And sometimes, like in the sitting, I remember during the early days, the pain or the numbness and all those things, they will manifest. But then it's better to endure it through the meditative training rather than experience it in the full-fledged accident, car accident or whatever. So sometimes a lot of this understanding can surface and manifest for us to develop the understanding behind. Then we know, as long as we take care of mind, mind will take care of our life, because mind is the forerunner of all things. So taking care of mind is very important. That's why we need to be heedful. We need to be mindful. That's how all this Dhamma arise, the teaching arise. Everything starts with mindfulness, leading to heedfulness. Then the law of karma, trigger of the first right view to avoid all evil. That's how we start, by keeping precepts, renew our precepts. And after that, we use the mindfulness to train the mind to cultivate. So the advice of the Buddha come from this. Avoid all evil, do good, purify the mind. And to purify the mind, the meditative aspect, we need the silent mind, the true mind, the awareness nature within. And this is what cultivator need to understand. Then you won't go wrong. Then you will know how to train your mind to be aware, to be mindful, stabilize it, to be heedful. That's how the meditative understanding can arise and the cultivation can move on and progress. Otherwise, it's normally mostly thought-based meditation. And if it's thought-based, it's pitiful. You are really technically wasting your time. It does not really benefit the cultivator. If it's thought-based, most of the time, it does not have the ability to transform the individual. So thought-based is normally knowledge, and knowledge cannot change the reality of things. Your knowledge is thought-based, and knowledge is only good for the intellect. It is not wisdom or understanding that can transform a person or change a person or awaken a person. So what happened to you is a very good condition for you to relate back to your understanding. Sadhu, PG, very good.
Yeah, Bertil, despite the pain, it turned out to be that I landed up consoling the maid instead. Because she was so frightened, seeing me in so much pain. And I kept telling her, it's okay, it's an accident, it's an accident. But what I'm very surprised is, Bertil, is like, how can there be totally no thought about the accident at all,
Yeah, no more like the normal heedless living being who wants to play, who wants to get angry over what happened. No more, because your understanding has reached the point, Sankara Anichang, Sankara Dukkhang. No point. You go and dwell in all this, it is going to make you worse. You can accept. This shows that your stability of contemplative understanding is there already to accept what happened. The reality is starting to become more and more stable. Then from now onward, you can actually come to terms with a lot of things in life. That's how the individual transforms and you become different. That's why the Buddha say the Dhamma is pacetang, can be realized by the wise each for themselves. And normal people cannot do it. Normal people cannot have this ability. So you will come to understand, then you will have joy, you will smile, and you know, this is what the Dhamma is. That's why it's very beautiful. Sadhu to you.
Bertil, another incident was just a few days ago on Thursday itself, when we are having the Dharma class. So I hit up the hot pack for my arm, which was actually very painful and could hardly be used. So I go and set up the hot pack. Just a few minutes into the session, I heard a pop like that. Then I said, what happened? So I went to check. Nothing, ma. So I went back to sit. And a few minutes later, there was a louder pop sound. Then I quickly went into the thing. The hot pack exploded. So the water was all on the floor. And again, there was nothing, Bertil. No,
very good.
no upset,
emotion, no reaction,
no feeling, no nothing.
Very good.
Just
you just go about doing it. Sometimes you can laugh away. You can get joy. Happen already.
I was laughing. I said, now where to find cloth to clean up? Then go and find a few cloths, clean up everything, and just left it and just sit back and continue with the
your daily whatever.
No, I was listening to your Dharma class on Thursday.
Yeah,
actually.
you continue. Yeah, sadhu, very good. This is what Guangqing Lao和Sang mentioned. He said, when you have the understanding already, he said, 对也接受，不对也接受。No matter what happened, he said, right also accept, wrong also accept. What you need is patient endurance with wisdom. And patient endurance with wisdom is a paramita. 无论如何都要忍住，忍入就是波罗蜜。That saying is very beautiful. So it's not about right and wrong anymore. You are not blaming anybody or yourself for what happened. When you heat up the whatever warm pad to help you heal, you forgot about it, then it will lead to this. Sometimes like you boil certain thing, sometimes could be medicine or whatever. Then you forgot to off the what they call the stove. Then you accidentally maybe go out and buy things. By the time you come back, it could have actually overboiled until no more water. Then you luckily not haven't reached the stage of exploding. So you can smell like burn smell and all those things. So it does happen. Sometimes my wife went out with me. It happened once or twice, but not serious. We come back. The worst case was boil until no water, then the whole burn smell. But then we learn. That's why I told her important thing must do first. Means before we go out, now we check the stove whether off or not. Because sometimes you ask yourself, if you forgot to off, then you go out for a long period, what will happen? The gas will keep on burning. Then you don't know what happened in the kitchen. That's why sometimes accident happen. So these are the what they call experiences that we go through, and that is what life is all about. When you experience them, you learn, and when you learn, you make it a point that it will help you understand and change for the better, that it will avoid major incident, major catastrophe. So this is the purpose of understanding. When we see the sign, we will know how to do whatever is appropriate. So all this we learn. That's why I pass on my understanding to my wife, my children. I say important thing do first. Then need to put on record or what? We put on record. So like now I know my style is I need a file, I need to physical copy. But when it come to my daughter generation, no need. They got their way, they put on the cloud and other thing, and everything is there. They don't need to look for the file. Yeah, this is what evolution of civilization is all about. But different time, different civilization, our way is different. We organize it according to our understanding. Then I realized by being like that systematic, I avoided a lot of unnecessary problems. Then later on, my son also come to know. Yeah, I told him, I said, when he was young, all this degree or your exam one, you better put a file and file it out. But later on, when you look for career, apply for a job, when you want to look for them, they are not around. Then a lot of these things may be a problem. Then he realized because of that, on one or two occasions, it came in very handy. And he shared it with me. He said, Daddy, thank you. And that was important. So now he know how to file his own thing. He know how to keep his own record, which is very good. That's why whatever we learn, we pass it on, either next generation or to Dhamma friends or to Kayamita. That's why I like to share experiences in life so that people understand, even like going through old age, sickness, and all these things. A lot of people can benefit because these are the Dhamma that young people don't see and don't have the ability to understand because they are too young. But as they age, the world will revibrate in their memory. They say, oh, last time I remember Brother Teo mentioned all this. At what age, you have to look up for one. So all this I also saw from my grandparent, my parent, and how through my experience in life, I came to know a lot of all these things. And now with the internet, easier, more things can be understood. So, sadhu, Vijay, thank you so much. This is good. Yeah, what you have experienced is very beautiful and it's good sharing because the Dhamma is for you to have this understanding so that despite what happened, you can come to terms with the reality and you can still move on like nothing really serious happened. And this is what the cultivators transform mind will be like. So this part of the sharing for today is very good. Sadhu to you. Anything else?
Yeah, Bertil, actually regarding the hot pack, it was, I think maybe its lifespan is up lah.
Yeah,
so that's why
is up, correct, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you know, the few days after the incident, I was reading this book by Eckhart Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle, Power Now.
And his book, this one is Stillness Speaks. I think I read
Stillness Speaks, yeah. That's another book.
It is very relevant to what I go through. When I read that, I was so happy. I said, yeah, that's about it, you know. Okay, it goes like this. This is the miracle. Behind every condition, person, or situation that appears bad or evil lies concealed a deeper good. That deeper good reveals itself to you, both within and without, through inner acceptance of what is.
Sadhu, yeah. Yeah, that part is very beautiful. Stillness speak, yes. Stillness is our true mind.
It is through inner acceptance of what is. So it's like what we have been going through our Dharma teaching.
Dhamma, the wisdom part, allow us to have the ability to come to terms with the reality of the moment, to accept things as they are. That's why acceptance free the mind. Acceptance is very important through wisdom, through understanding, not suppressing the emotion and all those things. Acceptance with understanding and wisdom is beautiful.
If there's no understanding and with just acceptance, like you say, we always say, never mind lah, just accept. That doesn't
that one is suppression.
Work that well,
yeah, the emotion is still there. Very true.
I think I will end my sharing today with this.
Yeah, 6 o'clock already.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Let us rejoice with the good sharing by PJ today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Today's sharing is very good. Okay, you all can now pay respect mindfully to Lord Buddha, Kuan Bodhisattva, and all the worthy ones. Then we will end the whole Zoom session. Sadhu, thank you for your participation. Sadhu.